Hello there, and welcome to the scruffy-looking Nerd Hooders podcast. I am your host, Tyler, bringing you news on all things nerd and geek-related. This week, I have some Google Stadia news? Stadia, I think is how it's pronounced. Some more diskless Xbox One rumors, Marvel Netflix news, Disney-Fox merger stuff, and more. So, here we go. First things up, housekeeping for you. So last week, I did my Captain Marvel movie review, and I'm thankful, first off, for your guys' comments and the discussions that were brought forward from it. I really enjoyed them. I enjoyed all your guys' messages. But unfortunately, for those of you that listen via YouTube, you haven't been able to listen to it yet, as YouTube hasn't let it upload. I'm currently in a limbo of maybe it will be pushed through, maybe it won't. I know that in the wake of that anti-Captain Marvel pushback, YouTube has been cracking down on reviews, even though mine was a positive one. I don't know, but I do apologize to my YouTube subscribers for that, as it's not my fault, and I'm trying to do everything I can. I'm tweeting at Team YouTube, I'm on the forums, I'm trying to get it figured out, but since I'm not a partner with YouTube, I don't get a direct access to the people at YouTube, so I'm trying to do the best I can with it. Secondly, once again, I will be at VisionCon in Springfield, Missouri, May 10th and 11th, so like I said before, if any of you will be there, maybe we can grab a slice of pizza while I'm there. Just let me know, and if you want to meet up and grab a snack or something. Lastly, I'm still working on building my Twitch stream, and I will be sure to let you all know once that's launched. It shouldn't be that much longer. Less than a month, I'm hoping. So first up on the gaming report, this comes from Jez Corden and Matt Brown over at Windows Central. Recently, we received product photographs of the upcoming Xbox Maverick diskless consoles box, which will be called Xbox One S All Digital Edition. In addition to a bit of additional context on how Microsoft plans to position the device, initially revealed by Brad Sams at Thunderrot.com, Maverick is the codename of an upcoming Xbox One S model that has no disk drive. Instead, this console will be entirely digital. Recently, we revealed that it will have a mid-April debut, likely at Inside Xbox, with an early mid-May launch window. Additionally, documents we received indicate that this launch date could be May 7th, 2019, with all existing Xbox markets targeted at a global simultaneous release. They go on to say the design of the Xbox One S All Digital appears to be virtually identical to the current Xbox One S, just without the disk drive and eject buttons. The product shots we received seem to indicate that it will come with a 1TB hard drive and with Forza Horizon 3, Sea of Thieves, and Minecraft digital codes bundled into the box. It doesn't look as though it will be bundled with Microsoft's Netflix-like subscription service for games, Xbox Game Pass. Our information suggests that the Xbox One S All Digital Edition will have the lowest recommended retail price of all current Xbox One consoles, aimed at newcomers to the ecosystem, although the exact pricing is unknown at this time. Now, I have a few takeaways from this. Number one, the part where they say it's the lowest recommended retail price, that's my first takeaway. Could it end up being $100 or less? Possibly. Is that likely? No. But I'm thinking it'll be about $170 to $199, especially now with this information that it's being released and bundled with the Forza Horizon 3, Sea of Thieves, and Minecraft. I was expecting at least Minecraft, possibly a Halo game thrown in there, but these three are all solid titles, and I could definitely see some value in this console at that price range just from that alone. You know, I could definitely see value in having this kind of a console as a backup, or like a secondary console for people that travel, or, you know, if you have your main console in the living room, but, you know, you have people over, the people are watching movies or something, you can have a console in your bedroom, go pop right in there, play on your console in the bedroom. I was really surprised that they wouldn't bundle at least with 1 month trial of Game Pass with it. I know in my last episode where I talked about this, I guess Xbox All Digital Edition, when I talked about it last, I had said that would, in my opinion, that would be a good way to go, is to kind of give people that taste of the Xbox Game Pass. That way you can kind of like hook them with it, because I mean it's a great service and it's relatively inexpensive. But I mean, the way I see it, if you're going to get this console and you do get the Game Pass, you wouldn't really have much of a need for buying a crap load of games every month. Because, I mean, if you get the Game Pass, you're going to be getting games that you can play that'll last you the month. And then the next month, you're getting more games. So, I definitely see that this is a great idea. This is a great idea from Microsoft in this regard of kind of helping pave the way of the future, so to speak, when it comes to the gaming market. And moving on, so Tuesday at GDC, the Game Developers Conference this year, Google Stadia boss Phil Harrison announced the tech company's plans to launch a game streaming service that will stream high-end games in a Chrome browser. So, when he was asked what internet speed do you need to run Stadia, he goes on to say, "We were able to test a lot of this with our Project Stream tests late last year, starting back in October. To get 1080p 60 frames per second required approximately 25 megabits per second. In fact, we use less than that. But that's where we put our recommended time limit at. But with innovations that we've made on the streamer side and on the compression side since then, when we launch, we will be able to get to 4K, but only raise that bandwidth to about 30 megabits per second. So if you have less bandwidth, we'll give you a lower resolution. We do a lot of that for you in the background, and we will only offer up the appropriate bandwidth for the infrastructure that you have." When he was asked what kind of hardware do you need to get Stadia on your TV, he said that Chromecast is the way that you reach TV at launch. And by the way, an Xbox controller won't do the trick. In order to reach their Chromecast, you'll need the Stadia controller, and you can use whatever USB controller you want on PC though. What will it cost? He went on to say, "I'm not going to talk about it today. We will talk in great detail about that in the summer." And when he was asked if the summer announcement is going to be at E3, he just said, "in the summer." I have a takeaway from this, and I have a reader question well, it's not really a question, but it was kind of a discussion I had with a listener, not a reader. But so my first impression is I think this is great, and I think these kind of innovations will be interesting to see how it will shape the future of the gaming industry. Like with Xbox, with the all-digital console, with the streaming service from Google, because I know the guys from Kinda Funny Games Daily were able to get their hands on it, and they were playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey on a Chromebook. And I think Greg was even playing games on his like low-end Microsoft Surface tablet, and he said it was like almost flawlessly smooth. So I mean, the infrastructure is there, the technology is there, and will it be a perfect thing? No, I don't think it will. Will it be innovative and help shape the way of the future? Yeah, I think it will, because look at smartphones. Apple was innovative with what they did with smartphones, as it hadn't really been done that way up to that point. So with companies like Microsoft and Google leading this way for the digital streaming gaming future, I really think, and I know I've said it already, but I can't stress it enough, it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out. Will this Google Stadia be a failure? I don't know. I don't think it will be. I think it'll be kind of a forefront, I guess, so to speak, for the streaming services. And I think Microsoft and Google, like I said, they have that infrastructure. They can do it. They have the know-how. They've been probably working on this for some time. Kind of a sidebar before I go on. Walmart even announced that they're looking into having a gaming streaming service at some point too. I don't know why Walmart would get involved with that. I know that they have been dabbling with having like their own ebooks and like e-movies, or like digital copies of movies and stuff like that, and digital only stuff where you can purchase them from Walmart.com. I get it. I guess they're trying to keep up with the market and trying to be relevant in that aspect and making sure that they can at least retain some of the losses from companies like Amazon and like how the digital marketplaces are with like on the Xbox now and the PS4 and even especially the Switch. You know, the physical copies aren't being bought as much. I mean, they still are. Like, the physical copies are still being bought. Don't get me wrong. I don't think physical copies will ever go away. But, I mean, like I said, I feel like that market's going to become oversaturated soon in the digital streaming thing. So it'll be interesting to see kind of like who will help pave the way first and see who will end up pushing forward into the future. I'm honestly really kind of surprised that Apple isn't really doing anything, but I don't know. Good for Google, good for Microsoft. I think this is great. The final takeaway from the Google Stadia was on the back of the controller, they have the Konami code, which I thought was a really awesome touch to it all, because like I think that kind of helped ground it in a way of like, hey, we know you guys are gamers. Like, I don't know, it was just really cool. I liked it. But I kind of already answered it, but the listener question kind of, which I already talked to the person in private chat as well, but they had asked if I was ever under the impression that eventually we'll have a completely no physical copy game type future. I don't think that'll ever happen. And I mean, look at books and comic books. Physical copies are still, like, brick and mortar stores are still up. Like, used bookstores still sell books. I mean, I know that doesn't go to the book industry per se, but I mean, even, brick and mortar stores still exist. Kindles aren't going to replace books anytime soon. Ebooks aren't going to replace books anytime soon. They're there for convenience more than anything, but people who are avid readers are still going to be purchasing actual physical copies of books or comic books. That's just the way it is. That's the way it's always going to be. Look at even music. I mean, yeah, like you have streaming services now with music, but vinyl and even cassette sales are relatively high. And I don't even know why. Cassette was such a dead medium before it even got launched. But so I don't foresee, like I said earlier, I don't ever foresee there being a future in the gaming industry where there's not physical copies. And my reasoning for that is, even with like how fast 4G networks are, and I mean they're going to start rolling out the 5G networks probably sometime in the near future, I don't foresee people having the ability, especially in rural areas. Because where I'm from, like my parents, they have modern day dial-up. My grandparents have modern day dial-up, and that's the best that they can get because of the rural area that they're in. So people who live out in that area, they're not going to be able to game. They're not going to be able to have a digital only console because they'd have to drive 30 minutes or so to someone's house just to download a game and go back and play it. And that's if they can even play it without being online. So I don't ever foresee physical copies of games ever going away. Stores like GameStop, even though they're kind of floundering and like people aren't really sure of their future, stores like that I feel like they'll always be around in some aspect. Whether GameStop eventually gets bought out by a conglomerate or even like Walmart. I could foresee Walmart eventually at some point buying out GameStop and essentially absolving them into their electronics department. I kind of foresee something like that happening. Probably not in the near future, but I could see that happening. But roundabout, I don't ever see physical copies of games ever going away. So to answer your question, no, I don't think we will ever have, at least in my lifetime, a digital-only gaming community or a gaming market. I don't think that'll ever happen in my lifetime. So, moving on to movie news. So, Disney's $71.3 billion acquisition of News Corp's, no, it's probably a corpse now, 21st Century Fox film assets will make it the most powerful movie studio ever, but it's also causing a lot of people to lose their jobs. Per The Hollywood Reporter, analysts say that by the time the dust settles, 4,000 of the jobs of the conglomerate provides could be lost. Disney skeptic analyst Rich Greenfield of BTIG even put the number up to 5,000 to even 10,000 over a longer period of time. Fox's film president of domestic distribution, Chris Aronson, along with Andrew Cripps, who handles international distribution for the studio, were both notified that they will be let go after 60 days. The Hollywood Reporter goes on to say that some Fox employees will stay on during the transition, which could last anywhere from 3 to 6 months. So while it is definitely great that almost all of the Marvel properties will now be under one banner, the unfortunate thing about a merger is that those people whose job positions are considered quote-unquote redundant will be let go. And that, like I said, it's a very unfortunate thing. It's terrible. I hate that stuff like that happens. I won't go deep into it again, but, like I've said before in another episode is, I've been let go from jobs before, or I've had like my job transitioned and I had to like reapply for my job that I was already doing to be able, in hopes that I would be able to keep my job. So I know how this feels, and I know how it can shake up a family, and it can, put stress, unnecessary stress, because these people, they're just everyday people doing their jobs. These aren't the movie actors, these aren't the directors. Those people are always going to be fine. Those people are always going to have jobs. Unless you're part of Scientology and you decide to leave, then you'll get blackballed, but then you won't have a job. But so yeah, these people, those people are fine. But these are the people, these are the blue collar people, the people who work in behind the scenes and make sure everything goes smoothly so we can go see our sometimes amazing movies. So hopefully Twitter can band together like they did with the game studio industry layoffs and help those who are affected by these layoffs get jobs again. So hopefully we can see a hashtag going around if this starts actually happening and people can start getting jobs at other film studios, whether they're major studios or indie studios, or maybe these people can go off and branch off and do their own studios again, or consulting or something like that. So hopefully these people can land on their feet, because like I said, this is an unfortunate thing that happens when mergers happen. Segueing with Marvel, Prop Store, one of the leading film and TV memorabilia companies in association with the world-renowned Marvel Entertainment, has today announced it is hosting the first ever Marvel television live auction featuring original costumes, props, and set decoration from Marvel's Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist from Netflix. Over 750 lots will be offered in the first of its kind live 2-day auction taking place in August 2019 at Prop Store's auction facility in Los Angeles County, California. In addition to live bidding, out-of-town fans can participate via telephone or online via propstore.com/Marvel. You can now subscribe to receive email updates about the auction, and bidding opens in July of 2019. So it's interesting to me that they'd be auctioning off these items so quickly as they are. But, there are definitely, don't get me wrong, there's definitely some items on this that I've seen so far that I'd want to get my hands on if I had the extra money to throw at memorabilia. Some of them that they showcase, you can get Matt Murdock's glasses, you can get Daredevil's staff, you can get his suit, you can get Luke Cage's bullet-ridden hoodie, there was Iron Fist's mask. There were so many cool things. There was like the katana from Iron Fist. It was just, I don't know, it was a very bittersweet moment for me to see these items already being up for auction, and it's just weird. It's so weird. I'll definitely be interested in seeing how much some of those things go for. And I know Iron Fist wasn't a widely accepted fan favorite show, but I honestly really liked that show a lot, so maybe I'll be able to get my hands on some Iron Fist memorabilia for relatively cheap. So we'll see. And lastly, for movies, segueing again from Disney, but to Star Wars. So a new rumor has suggested that the upcoming series of Star Wars films by the Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and D.B. Weiss will take place during the Old Republic era. Via comicbook.com, Star Wars Newsnet has reported that one of its sources, a contact who, quote, has worked on every Disney Star Wars film, end quote, is 95% confident that this new series will in fact take place in the Old Republic, which has been featured in such games as Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and the MMO Star Wars The Old Republic. This rumored time period, according to the source, has been chosen as, quote, Disney wants to open up the Star Wars timeline and appeal to a more Game of Thrones style audience, end quote. The films are said to take place hundreds of years prior to the Skywalkers, and the source is claiming that these films will almost be Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings, and that filming will begin this fall. Star Wars Newsnet stresses that this is still a rumor, and it has only one source, and although that source has been reliable in the past, it's always important not to get too ahead of ourselves just yet. If these films do indeed take place hundreds of years before the Skywalkers, it would most likely not be around the time of the Knights of the Old Republic games, which took place 4,000 years before the formation of the Galactic Republic. So a few episodes back, I was talking about how there was a rumor of one of the standalone movies being set during the Old Republic and how it would be pretty badass if they were to do that. Or like I said a little bit ago, if it only takes place a few hundred years before the story of the Skywalkers, then it won't be of the time of Revan or like Darth Bane, stuff like that, unless they can have these characters come back as like Force Visions or Force Ghosts or something like that, which that would arguably be okay with me. I'm a huge nerd for the Old Republic stuff. It was some of my favorite moments of Star Wars expanded universe stuff, especially the two games. And I would even throw in the Old Republic MMO. I was one of those dweebs that got Ultra Collector's Edition that had the statuette and the art book and all that stuff, and I dropped so much money on it, and I beat the game so fast on all playthroughs. And now, every now and then, now that it's free to play, I'll go back and I'll play for probably like 2 weeks or so off and on, and then I'll uninstall it, and a couple months later I'll get that itch again and I'll reinstall it. But this brings me hope, which I'm kind of interested as well, because there was also an announcement. This is more video game related, and I should have mentioned it then, but Disney is going to be reopening the Lucasfilm games. So LucasArts, I would imagine, eventually, probably, but Lucasfilm games will be reopening, and essentially, I'm pretty positive that they're going to be retaining the rights back for the Star Wars property games from EA. So I hope that Respawn Entertainment's Star Wars game, the Jedi Fallen Order, I hope that'll still be able to release, because from what I've gathered, it's pretty much a done deal game. Like it's good to go kind of thing. Some final touches. I hope it's still released. I hope we get to see something in a couple weeks for Star Wars Celebration on that game. I hope something gets announced for Lucasfilm games, the stuff that they're working on, some projects, maybe another Battlefront, maybe a Republic Commando sequel, something new, something cool. I'm really excited for that, but maybe another Knights of the Old Republic game. Pass it on to a company like CD Projekt Red, or I don't know, Obsidian. Have Obsidian do another one. I would totally be okay with that. So I'm definitely excited. There's some great Star Wars stuff coming out soon, and I'm so excited. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. And so last thing I want to touch on, I haven't really talked about it a whole lot on this show, but I might have at some point, probably from a Comic-Con discussing the comics, but Firefly is arguably one of my favorite shows, and I would argue that it's one of the best shows that has ever existed on the airwaves. So I'm a huge Firefly nerd, with brown coat for life. But one thing I've been lacking on is Titan Books has been releasing tie-in novels from the Firefly universe. So the second one that they've came out with, I haven't read the first, but the second one seems really good, so I'm probably going to end up getting both of them. But the second novel is titled Firefly the Magnificent Nine, and is written by James Lovegrove, with Joss Whedon acting as consulting editor. Releasing March 26th, so in 5 days. The story takes place between the TV series and the 2005 movie Serenity. So, I guess, spoilers, all the characters are still alive. I won't say which characters, but all the characters are still alive. The plot of this one follows Captain Reynolds in a terrible situation. He wants to keep under Alliance radar and keep his ship afloat, but one of Jane's old romantic endeavors sends a call for help, and now his crew has other ideas. Once the crew lands on the planet, they discover two things. An outlaw gang wants the control of the planet's water supply, and the second is that Jane's former flame is a single mom raising a teenage daughter, born 9 months after she and Jane separated, and her name is Jane McLeod. Lovegrove went on to say about the story that it's a very Jane-centric, and that's on purpose because Jane is a terrific character to write. He says what he thinks, and he does what he reckons is best for Jane Cobb and no one else. The kind of straightforwardness is refreshing, and it means that even though he may not be the sharpest tool in the box, he has an edge. The story delves into the past and present of him with a dilemma that can't necessarily be solved by gunplay and the application of brute force. He does go on to say that the other characters will definitely get their moments to shine as well, River in particular. So, like I said, once again, I'm a huge Firefly nerd, and the first book, I think it has like a 4.6 or something like that out of 5 on Amazon. On the ratings, so obviously Firefly fans are digging it. It's a great addition to the series. I'm a huge fan of the comics. I've probably read the Firefly comics, I would say, through at least 4 or 5 times, because I don't know, they're just such good reads. I mean, I've watched the only season tears at least 5 or 6 times all the way through, probably more, honestly. I'm probably lowballing that dramatically. I don't know, I think these books will be a great addition, and like I said, I'll definitely give them a shot. I'll try to get them as soon as I can. I've been reading a lot more lately. I've been catching up on my pile of shame of comics and books, and right now I'm still reading an R.A. Salvatore book in the Forgotten Realms. And after that, I have another R.A. Salvatore book that I need to read. So I've got my work cut out for me when it comes to reading. But as soon as I get caught up, I will definitely be looking to getting these. And who knows, I might do like a mini review for the books as well. So who knows? I might not. I might. I don't know. What is the world right now? What is real life? I don't know. So this concludes this episode of the Scruffy Looking Nerd Herders. I feel like this one was kind of a short one. I don't know. I didn't really feel like I talked about a whole lot, but there wasn't really a whole lot that really stuck out to me this week. These were the things that were, in my opinion, the big things. But thank you guys so much for your support. Please, if you like what you heard, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. Share with your friends. I'm on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, YouTube. I'm on so many, so there's so many ways to listen, and there's no excuse for them not to. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SLNH Podcast, and be sure to pick up some merch. I will put a link in the description, and thank you so much for your reviews and comments, your messages, the conversations we have. It's so awesome, and I appreciate having you guys as listeners, and your comments about, hey, maybe you could do this differently. That kind of stuff helps me, and I'm glad that you guys do that, and I appreciate the constructive criticism that I get from you guys. helps me grow the podcast and get even better. So, everyone, this is Tyler from the Scruffy Looking Nerd Herders podcast signing off, and may the Force be with you.